Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. The nice thing about some of these day games is when stuff gets done earlier, I can do these videos where there's light outside, so I don't look like I have the worst lighting in the world. So I figured let's try this video with my face instead of the Steelers Depot logo this time. But if you still hate the orange wall behind me, which I totally understand, let me know what you think. Let me know if the audio is okay, all that stuff. But we're here to talk about today, Steelers 26-9 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Steelers go to 2-0 on the year, tied with the Ravens, though clearly the Steelers are the better team. Ravens just lost their best offensive lineman, maybe their best player on that offense, Marshall Yanda, for the year to, I think, a broken leg. So a big blow to them. So obviously with the news that Sam Bradford was not playing, and it was going to be Case Keenum getting the nod, advantage Pittsburgh, and you expect and assume victory. But you can never expect and assume that in the NFL and with the way the Steelers are. And the Vikings are still a good team even without Sam Bradford. But what I think surprised me the most was that even knowing that Case Keenum was the starter, how well this defense played, and specifically how well the secondary played to shut down, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. They combined, I think, had 7 catches for 70-some yards. The last one by Thielen was a 4th down play in garbage time with the game basically over. So I think, before that it was 6 catches for 66 yards and no touchdowns. So credit to Artie Burns and Joe Hayden for kind of shutting those guys down. Now, still have some concerns about Hayden. You see him get, tested on a double move again. I think teams are going to do that early and often on Joe Hayden. It happened twice against Hayden last week against the Browns. They threw it to him twice, and he got beat both times. One wasn't targeted. The second was a completion to Corey Coleman. So I think teams are really going to test Hayden's speed and his aggressiveness in coverage. And while Burns did have, I think, 2 penalties, which are obviously not good, I think you're seeing big improvement for him in his read and react, his tackling in the open field. Still want to see him contest and play the pocket a little bit better, but you're seeing big progress from there. And again, you didn't hear a lot from Artie Burns today, aside from the penalties, which probably means he's shutting his guy down. So credit to those guys for big days. And then credit to the whole defense in general. That front 7 generally did a really good job of shutting down the Vikings run game. It got a little sloppy in the second half. Cook had a couple nice runs. One of them was on Sean Davis for losing contain. But, generally speaking, the Vikings were a one-dimensional offense today. Case Keenum threw the ball, I think, 37 times, and was definitely held under 200 yards. I forget the exact numbers. So that's a tremendous job, regardless of who's at quarterback. You got pressure with your front 4. Dupree got pressure. Hayward had a fantastic game. Honestly, maybe his best game ever, or at least the top 3. I mean, there's been some good ones in his career. It's been a long career for him already, and he's had some great games. I remember the Chargers game on Monday night. I think the same game that the Bell scored with no time left. I think that's the game I'm remembering correctly, that Hayward dominated, and it was a similar thing today. The Vikings left guard Nick Easton just totally outmatched, outclassed, and Hayward had a fantastic game, all without Stephon Tuitt. I thought Alualu had seemed to do pretty well as well. But it starts up front, and again, the mantra for the Steelers defense is if you can get there with 4, it's gonna give the Steelers all the more flexibility to blitz when they want to and not blitz when they have to. Still saw aggressiveness today from Keith Butler, but it's not out of obligation. It's out of circumstance and game plan and just kind of the feel of things, not feeling like you have to do it to get pressure. So it was good to get Bud back in the lineup. Watt did well before he went out with a groin injury. Not sure what the status is of that. As of this recording, does not initially seem super serious. Watt seemed pretty upbeat about it after the game, but we'll have to monitor that. I'm not sure what's gonna happen there. But defensively, really strong to hold any team in the NFL to 9 points. Haven't given up 20 yet. Now I know they're average to below average offenses you face so far, but still NFL to give up that few points. Even on days where your offense is not fully in gear, which was again the case today. Is really promising. So can this defense be a top 10? Yeah, it can. I think it has the talent to do so. Will it? We have to give it more time. You have to face a tougher test, and honestly, you might not get one for a bit. I mean, the next couple weeks you're facing, Flacco and the Ravens, which again, without Yonda, hurt even more. You got the Bears this Sunday. They've averaged 12 points their first 2 weeks. You have, I think the Jags and Blake Bortles in week 5, so we'll see. You might have to get to the back half of the year to really know what you have in this defense when you're facing the Titans and the Packers and Tom Brady and the Patriots. That, of course, will be the big test, big litmus test. But credit to the defense. You play who you play, and they've been dominant, I think, so far. Offensively, obviously can't really say the same thing, but there have been, moments and things are progressing, which is what you want to see. It's not perfect, but it's trending in the right direction. You took a page out of the Ravens playbook a little bit, working the deep ball and getting some pass interference, calls. But if they're going to leave you one-on-one, if they're going to play the safety shallow or be aggressive, then yeah, you're going to go deep. And if they get penalties, then they get penalties. That's a win for the offense. And I said over the weekend that the one guy you wanted to target was Trey Waynes, because you figured Xavier Rhodes was going to shadow AB and lock him up about as well as any corner in the league can do, and that's generally what happened today. And they went after Trey Waynes, and they went after Terrence Newman. For the life of me, I don't understand why the Vikings put 38, 39-year-old Terrence Newman on Martavis Bryant for a 27-yard touchdown. That's just dumb, and Bryant burned him, no problem there. And then I think he beat Trey Waynes on the 51-yard catch he had later in the game, and Waynes ended up getting benched. That's the matchup to exploit, and the Steelers did a good job of identifying it, targeting it, and Martavis Bryant made the plays when he was called upon. So that's obviously great to see Martavis Bryant back and healthy, shaking off the rust he showed last week. Just him being available and making those splash plays, that's been his calling card for his entire career. I had the stat that, 18 of 81 of his career catches in the regular season have gone for either 50 yards plus, a touchdown, or both. That's over 20%. That's 1 in 5. So that's just ridiculous numbers. He finished over 30 yards a catch today. The 51, yarder being the big one. So good to have the secondary weapons show up. Bell in the run game, better, not great, but I didn't expect the run game to be that strong today. Relatively speaking, the Vikings have a really strong defensive line. Linval Joseph, their nose tackle, is excellent. Steelers always struggle more against 4-3 even front teams and odd fronts. They just don't see it as much. They don't practice against it. And, it's harder to get their linemen to the second level. And when you're dealing with a big nose tackle or one tech in Joseph, and he's a house, he's 340 pounds and really good, I think it's harder to get a push at the point of attack and to get Bell into the second level. So I think the Bears run a 3-4, so I think you're going to have much more success against Chicago. If it goes wrong against Chicago, then you start really wondering what the heck is going on. Heat-related issues today. Villanueva was sick, apparently. Tomlin said Villanueva had a very bad game, but maybe that's explained partially by dehydration and his illness. Gilbert missed with cramps. So that's another reason why you like Chris Hubbard. He's a guy you can just plug and play. Someone goes down 74, get in there. Played as a sixth offensive lineman, the tackle eligible, because the Steelers only had 2 tight ends going into today with Vance McDonald out. If they lose Jesse James for a couple plays early in the game, you just throw in Chris Hubbard whenever you need him, wherever you have to play him, and he can do a serviceable job. Obviously not a great talent, probably an average talent, regardless of what position you're talking about, but he's able to do it well, and that's tough for an offensive lineman. I mean, don't think that just playing left tackle or right tackle is an easy thing to do and you can just pick it up on the fly. I mean, even going from left tackle to right tackle, I remember Flozell Adams said it's like writing with your opposite hand. If you're left-handed, you're writing with your right and vice versa. So that's a really underrated value and trait, and you have to give Chris Hubbard a lot of props for wearing so many hats and being put in there on the fly. He's even a wedge guy or a wedge blocker on kick returns. So the guy does it all. You have to give special credit to Chris Hubbard for the versatility and value that he brings to the team. Probably spent too much time talking about Chris Hubbard, but no one will ever talk about him, so you have to tip your hat to him. So not a perfect day for the offense by any means. It has to get better, of course, but you're seeing some better red zone stuff work. Steelers started out for 2 for 2 in the red zone. That's huge for them. So you're seeing some of the application of things like 7 shots, translate to Sunday football. I think we talked about it last week. Last week was the middle screen to Jesse James. You see that in 7 shots all the time. Today was a shovel pass to Juju Smith-Schuster. They ran that at least once. I remember specifically because Ben kind of got fun with it and threw it behind his back. Maybe they ran it 1 or 2 other times in 7 shots. So you're seeing those plays that you've run in camp before that are familiar, be used in those situations today where you have I think the ball was on the 2, so it's exactly like 7 shots, and you run the shovel pass, it's executed well, and Juju finishes the play for an easy touchdown, his first. So that's the value in 7 shots, and that's why this team will do it for basically every start of practice and training camp. And I think during the season 2, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure it happens at points. So that's the value there. On the downside, of course, penalties. can't have that many. 10 more today for, I think, 100 something yards. I didn't look at the exact number, but regardless, 10, just way too many. Through the first 2 weeks, they have 23 penalties. That is a franchise record. It is not the kind of record this offense should be setting, or this team should be setting, because defense had penalties as well. But so that's got to get cleaned up in the worst way against week 3. You just can't keep going these games having 10 plus penalties and expect to win all the time. Once you face better teams, the margin of error is slimmer. And even when you face poorer teams, you lose these games by beating yourself, and obviously having 10 plus penalties is the definition of beating yourself. Special teams really strong today. Dirty Red, Tyler Medikevich had the fake punt deflection. That's a huge play. Set the Steelers up for another field goal. Did not let any momentum and let the Vikings string out that drive. So that was impressive. Give credit to Danny Smith. I think the special teams unit has been really strong. The kick return thing, a little funny. Juju had that one run out that he shouldn't have, but that's what happens when you don't give these guys reps throughout the preseason and training camp, and your first real, live reps come in-game, Sunday situations. So that's kind of the issue there. Hopefully that will get cleaned up and addressed. I imagine that it will be, and it'll get better as the timing and the IQ and situational stuff is worked on throughout the year, and you get more reps at it and you kind of problem solve your way through it. Again, not ideal. I've been fuming about it since it's happened, but you deal with it, and hopefully it'll clean up. So bottom line, again, not the prettiest of wins, but I don't really care about that stuff right now. The Vikings are a good team even without Sam Bradford. They have weapons, they have threats, and you neutralized most of those guys today, and you exploited the weaknesses for this team. So you get the victory, you go 2-0, you go into Chicago next week. Again, not a gimme, but Steelers obviously going to be the favorite there, have the better team against the underwhelming Bears offense that has Jordan Howard with a shoulder injury. Now Tarek Cohen, their rookie running back's an electric kind of guy that has to be shut down. Steelers have been hurt by guys like that before. Darren Sproles last year, as an example. But Steelers have a chance to go 3-0 and really start this year off hot. So that's my take. Trying to think if I missed anything. Probably missed something important to talk about, but you guys can fill me in the comments below. If you like the video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, or of course you don't have to, and the videos will all be posted on Steelers Depot. This will go up. I'm doing this Sunday afternoon/evening. This will go up Monday morning on Steelers Depot. We got a lot of great content for you guys going up, tomorrow or Monday and throughout the week, covering this game from every angle possible. Myself, Dave Bryan, Matthew Marksey, Josh Carney, the whole cast and crew at Steelers Depot doing a fantastic job. Thank you guys again for the support. It's been unbelievable, the traffic and stuff that we've gotten so far. So really excited about that. Really excited about the season, and hopefully the Steelers keep winning as well, and that excitement stays at an all-time high. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, whatever's on your mind about this game or otherwise, in the comment section below, and we'll talk to you guys soon.